So, are there any psychiatrist jokes? Anyone? Anyone? No? No, the thing about our jokes is that most often we like to joke about stuff that we are really, really familiar with. Stuff that we are having a daily face-to-face interaction with. And psychiatrists are kind of people that we never want to interact with. Surely not if we want to give out this impression that everything up here is fine and we're okay, we're sorry, normal, all of those things. Now, what I'm telling you about psychiatrists is because I really actually grew up in a mental hospital. Yeah, I grew up in a mental hospital. I can say it today. Actually, I'm so liberated actually saying it in front of all of you. Like, I grew up in a mental hospital. Now, the thing about hospitals, and mental hospitals included, is that they would like their staff to be like really close to them, in the vicinity, in the premises, in the same campus, and so there is a reason for that. There is actually. Why hospitals want their staffers to be close by is because hospital equals emergency. You see this board outside hospitals, this glow in the dark kind of board, neon board, it says emergency. Now that's there because it's there for a reason, because anyone can come to the hospital at any time of the day, get themselves seen, fixed and sorted, and then they can go. And that's why hospitals have emergency. And that's the reason why the staffers of a hospital need to stay close by. Now this reason had a big impact on my life when I was growing up. You know, growing up in itself is very difficult. Very traumatic even, yeah, I'm sure. A lot of you will agree growing up is difficult. And on top of that, I was growing up in a mental hospital. So growing up plus growing up in a mental hospital equals disaster. It's very simple, you know, it's a very simple equation. My earliest memories of that was giving out my address. Yeah, you're wondering why did he need to give out his address? I mean, yeah, these are early ages before email, Insta handle, Twitter handle, these came into being. We actually wrote down our addresses and gave it to people, especially girls, you know, if they wanted to drop in a postcard and tell them where they were, tell you where they were traveling and stuff. It was cool, yeah, it was the dumb thing, you just gave your address. But in my case, it was not so cool because my address was, yeah, it was blah blah blah, psychiatric hospital. Blah blah blah, psychiatric hospital. How cool is that? Do you ever try to make an impression on a girl using your address? No. Even in these times, you will never give your address if it's shameful. It's really shameful. And you know, most girls would like say, you actually live there? You really live in a mental hospital? It's not cool. Trust me, it's not cool. The second thing that I remember about my childhood growing up in a mental hospital is that whenever my friends were ill or they had injuries, they went to a normal doctor, you know, like a normal clinic, a neighborhood doctor. But in my case, it was different. I'll tell you why. This one time I remember I was shivering, I had a lot of fever, and this whole house was in panic because I was not well. And so my mom goes out and calls the friendly neighborhood psychiatrist. And lo and behold, the psychiatrist is coming to check on me to see how I'm doing. And the first thing that he asked me is like, how's he been with school lately? Has he had any behavioral issues? Has he been okay? Has there been stuff on his mind? Because you know, some of these fevers are actually psychosomatic. Thank God, my mother had the good sense to take me to a real doctor. And I was fixed. I had malaria. Let me say, it was malaria. It's not a mental problem. And I was cured. I was fixed because it was a simple problem. It was not a mental issue. Another time, I fell down from the stairs. Yeah, I used to jump a lot. And I was a frisky kid, so I fell down from the stairs. And I cut myself. I was bleeding, badly, profusely bleeding. And you know, my mother calls once again the friendly neighborhood psychiatrist. And he comes home, and the first thing he asks me is like, son, what were you thinking? What were you thinking when you fell down? Just before you fell down. Now it's difficult trying to recall such a traumatic moment in your life when you're small. Falling down is not easy, trust me. I'm sure. You know, everyone's falling. So falling down is not easy. But trying to recall the moment of your fall, the thoughts that were going through your head, it's tough. It's really tough. And again, once again, my mother had the good sense of taking me to a real doctor who fixed me with stitches and stuff and blah, blah, blah. So the next day, when I go back to school, there's this friend of mine, my very good Shubchintak friend, and he asked me, "Kya hua tere ko yaar? Why this big bandage and stuff?" So I said, "I fell down from the stairs, you know." So he said, hospital, injection, stitches. I said, "No, actually, I need a psychiatrist." Yeah. That's what we do in my a psychiatrist. And he was like, "तेरी याददाश्त तो है." And sure enough, over a period of time, he started keeping his distance. So my best friend became my not so good friend. And I just fell out. He didn't talk to me after some time because, you know, it's not easy being friends with a person who lives in a mental hospital. So what I'm trying to say is that our parents, despite all their good intentions and their wisdom and their care and love for you, fuck us up in unimaginable ways. And I'm talking from experience. You know, and then we spend a lifetime figuring out why we turn out the way we do. Because our parents have sown that seed or done something really, really amazingly stupid in bringing you up. And that's why you turn out the way you do. So, from today, I'm starting my new YouTube channel and I'm going to be uploading stuff from my past in my future videos. And if you like this particular video, I suggest you press the subscribe button and also the notification button so that you know what my future videos are going to be about. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.